What is up, car addicts? In this video, I'll be talking about this week's Dub Money event week as well as the newest additions and discounts as well. This event week is for October 13th through October 19th, 2022. So for new content this week, the Ubermark Reinhardt was finally added today and costs just under $1.6 million. That makes the Reinhardt the 9th drip feed car of this DLC, which means we only have 3 cars left. Plus, we also have the brand new Jack-o'-lantern collectible event that was added today, which is pretty cool. But anyways, the current prize ride for this week is the Cheetah. This car is primarily based on the Ferrari Enzo, mixed with the GTA Spano as well, and has a normal price of $650,000. To get this car for free, you have to place top 1, meaning first place, in a Pursuit Series race for 2 days in a row, which is definitely a pretty easy challenge. Honestly, 2 days isn't bad at all, but then again, this is a pretty cheap supercar. Now, in terms of performance, it is in the supercar class, of course, but it is one of the slower vehicles in that class, which makes sense considering it's an OG 2013 vehicle. In terms of the test ride vehicles for this week, we have the Huntley S, the Exemplar, and the Monroe as well. And for next-gen console players, we have the Hakuchu Drag as the HSW test ride vehicle for this week. Now, in terms of a casino podium vehicle, we have the Astron. So this vehicle is primarily based on the Porsche Macan 95B and has a normal price of just under $1.6 million. In terms of performance, it is one of the fastest vehicles in the SUVs class. However, it's still a bit off the pace of the much cheaper Toros, but regardless, it's still a nice SUV with great customization as well. In terms of the dealership cars for this week, for luxury autos, we have the Taycan and the new Rhinehart as well. And for Simians, we have the Outlaw, the Veto Classic, the Guardian, the Kuruma, and the Dominator GTT as well. Moving on to the discounts, in terms of property discounts, we have 40% off the CEO crate warehouses and 40% off the vehicle cargo warehouses as well. Moving on to the vehicle discounts, we have 50% off the Exemplar. So this car is in the coupes class and is in top 5 depending on the track, but obviously it's brutally outpaced by the Previon, for example, and unfortunately it doesn't offer any visual customization, which is a real shame, but either way it's still a pretty nice car to own. Next up, we have 50% off the Huntley S, and for some reason it's not showing the discount visually, but the price has changed, as you can see here. It normally costs $195,000 and now it's $97,000. But anyways, this vehicle is in the SUVs class and used to be the fastest SUV for racing back in 2014, but obviously a lot has changed over the years and now it sits around 10th place for track performance in that class. Moving on to the Southern San Andreas website, we have 30% off the Dominator GTT. So this car is in the muscle car class and has tons of customization and great detail as well, plus fantastic handling and speed, putting it in top 10 for most tracks. Next up, we have 50% off the LE. So this was the only classic Mustang we had in game until the Dominator GTT came around, and honestly the GTT is just better in almost every way, but the LE is still a nice car even though it has a lot less customization and is extremely slow. Moving along, we have 40% off the Outlaw. So this vehicle is in the off-roads class and is normally way overpriced in my opinion, but at 40% off, it definitely seems like a better deal, especially if you can also get the trade price in combination with that. Next up, we have 40% off the Veto Classic. Still a crazy amount of money for a go-kart, but if you don't own one and you've always wanted one, I suppose here's your chance, but honestly I prefer the look of the Veto Modern. Moving on to the Warstock website, we have 50% off the Crusader, which is quite random. This is a Pegasus vehicle with no customization, so honestly I see no point in owning this one. Moving on to the Benny's website, the regular Spectre is 40% off. It's not the fastest sports car, but it does offer tons of customization in its Benny's form, and I think it's just a great looking car in general. Moving on to the Arena website, we have 30% off the upgrade for the Gargoyle that turns it into the Death Bike, and that brings the conversion cost down to $888,000, which is still very expensive, but it's arguably the best vehicle for the Arena modes, so I think it's definitely worth owning if you ever play those modes from time to time. In terms of weapon discounts, all weapons are 30% off this week, which is pretty awesome. In terms of login unlocks, you can get this Conquest mask for free just for logging in this week, which is pretty cool. And if you collect the 10 daily collectible jack-o'-lanterns we talked about earlier, you'll get the Horror Pumpkin mask. And if you collect 200, you'll unlock the Pumpkin t-shirt. In terms of double money, we have double money NRP on the Adversary Mode Slasher, plus double money NRP on the Alien Survivals, Special Vehicle Work, and select community jobs as well. And lastly, we have 1.5 times money NRP on CEO Crate sales. Now unfortunately it's not double like we usually see on these, but 1.5 times money isn't too terrible. So for those of you who have a ton of crates stashed up, I would definitely sell them this week. Moving on to the Prime Gaming discounts for Prime Game members only. So again, same as usual, the only thing we have is the usual free $125,000 for logging in during the event week period. And lastly, this week's RC Bandito time trial is Little Soul Park. This week's normal time trial is end to end. I highly recommend a car with a high top speed or a fast bike such as the Hakachu Drag, Shotaro, or Batty 801 for this time trial. In terms of the premium race for this week, we have the Supercar Race Downtown Underground. I highly recommend either the Emirates or Krieger for that race. And if you're on next gen, I highly recommend using the Weaponized Ignis or the HSW Cyclone 2 for this race. And lastly, for next gen console users, the HSW time trial is terminal. As always, the HSW Hakachu Drag will be the best one for these. In terms of my vehicle discount pick of the week, I'm gonna have to go with the Dominator GTT. Although it's only 30% off, it's still a really nice car to drive with tons of customization, and if you're a fan of classic Mustangs and you don't already own this car, I would highly suggest getting one. It's an overall really good car. Anyways guys, hope this was helpful. Overall, this event week is pretty good with some decent discounts, and of course the new events, decent double money, and of course the new Rhinehart. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.